Hello and welcome to Oak Road Hatters Put It in the Mixer show. It is the third episode and it's going to be an interesting one today as we have deadline day fast approaching. Also got a fixture in the middle of it as well, just to complicate things, I'm sure. As always, joined by Andy Burgess for today's show. We're going to be speaking a little bit about the transfer window in general, what we've seen so far, what could possibly be done before the 11 p.m. deadline tomorrow. And then we're going to take a closer look at new signing Cody Drameh and his, I guess, expected impact and what we can expect of him moving forward. First of all, Andy, how are you getting on today?
Yeah, well, good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to what is often described as the most exciting day. I think it probably is for supporters, the deadline day, but I think having been involved in management teams in the Football League, it's one of them where you tend to dread it, but it's certainly an exciting one and certainly a busy one for most clubs up and down the country, and I'm sure Luton Town will be no different.
It didn't always seem that way. It didn't always seem that it was going to be too busy. I think the first 26 days of the window, it seemed pretty routine. If we were going to add anything, it seemed to be a centre-back. That was sort of the thinking going in, but of course James Bree's departure, I guess the continued examination of the goalkeeping department, I'm sure we'll go on to the new signing that's just happened and sort of prolonged us getting started here today. But it seems it's shaping up that it could be a really, really busy day tomorrow. We've also seen a lot of rumours regarding like Harry Cornick, but yeah, as we say, we'll get into those. I guess the first place to start is that central defensive position, Andy. It's one that we've talked about before. It's one that most fans expect us to address. And one player that's been linked, traditionally a right back. He can play all over the pitch by the sounds of things. He can play as a right-sided centre-back. He's shown that this season. Is Exeter City's Josh Key. The actual report said that Luton had made an approach after Swansea had their approach rejected. From what you know and what you've seen before of Josh Key, is he somebody that you think will come in and bolster what we've got at Luton Town?
Yeah, I think so. I think he fits the mould of where what the type of player we try and sign or the type of player we do bring in. I think he's 23 years old. He's not played a huge amount of games down at Exeter. I think he played 25 or something like that in the EFL. But I think, he fits the mould. He's probably similar in terms of Bree could do both right wing back and right back and can do centre half. Right-sided centre half in a 3. We've seen James Bree probably deployed as a right-sided centre back more than most people, probably including the two managers, would have probably wanted. I think everybody knows his qualities probably lie more in the top end of the pitch, right wing back in the shape that we're playing. So I would say, obviously, bring it. With Cody coming in from Leeds United, we're probably looking for that right-sided centre half cover more than anything else. So yeah, I think he ticks that box. He's obviously attracting a lot of interest from other clubs at our level, not just us. But as I say, I think he's got decent quality. He seems to be quite somebody who, as you say, you can probably slot in midfield as well, either on the right-hand side or maybe as a deeper midfielder. So from that point of view, and from probably every angle, he looks like someone who would come in, slot in, and be effective in terms of covering lots of different areas of the pitch. And being able to strengthen us probably deeper and allow for us to have more options going into the final weeks of the season.
Yeah, as you say, there is that space in the squad to do it as well. And in losing James Bree, we lost that sort of right wing back, right-sided centre-back option. Of course, Drameh comes in. Very excited about him, and I'm sure we'll go on to that pretty soon. But also bolstering that central defensive position is something that's still quite high on the agenda, you would think, going into tomorrow's deadline. And just looking at Josh Key and what you've seen so far, of course, I haven't seen too much of him, but looking at sort of video clips and what he can offer, do you see him primarily bringing sort of cover and competition for Drameh initially, or do you think he's somebody that could slot into that back three and provide cover? I guess when we've had a lot of times this season where Burke and Osho haven't been fit enough. So does he then come into his element there, or is he somebody that's just so versatile, a Jordan Clark-esque player that can come in and fill many roles?
I think from what I've seen, I'd see him probably more as a defensive-minded player. I think probably that right-sided centre-back role would be one he would provide the cover for. I think he'd be more of a stay-at-home fullback, if you like, than an advanced one. I think he's more of a sort of 7, 8 out of 10 every week. That type of player, that consistent type player, that's never going to let you down, but he's perhaps not going to be as quite as creative as Drameh and as obviously James Bree, who's gone before him, would be. So I think we've obviously had that issue in the right-hand side of centre-back, whether it's been Burke or whether it's been Gabe Osho, who have been injured, or Lockyer, who's missed a bit of game time as well. I think he would provide that real cover for them and allow Drameh and maybe Doherty to come across and play on that right-hand side and give us that proper offensive, or even Clark giving us that proper offensive quality down the right-hand side. But I do think he's, again, I think he fits the bill of what we're after, of the type of player that we try and attract. I think he's had a loan previously at Tiverton, which a lot of the Exeter and sort of Torquay, Bristol City players go out to. Cheltenham players go out and get good game time down there. So, listen, I'm sure that the recruitment team have done real good due diligence on him and know him very well as a player and as a character. And I'm sure he's somebody, if we do bring him in, as I say, he's attracted interest from other clubs, not just Luton. So he's obviously doing a lot right. And it'll be interesting to see if we get over the line before the deadline.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. We obviously seen recently this key link. The one before that, Regan Paul, was similar. A right side centre back that can also play as a right wing back. You think if Luton were going to go down that route, you'd think it'd be one or the other. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that progresses. On to something else. I guess it was something that we're all expecting, in the fact that Cornick was generating interest. We all know about his contract situation, but we didn't really know how it would play out. I think the sort of latest line is that the Bristol City are pushing harder than Swansea, but both teams have been credited with an interest. How do you see that situation playing out? Of course, Cornick is somebody, we spoke about it before, about how strong our front line is and how they all offer something completely different. You take away the pace that Cornick has in our front line, and you're suddenly thinking, do we need to add to our front line? So do you think Edwards will be doing all he can to try and ensure that Cornick remains a Hatter beyond the deadline?
I think he will. I know Harry Cornick divides opinion a little bit. Been reading on social media. Very much a lot of people are saying, well, he's perhaps not got the quality to take us to the next level. Some have said, he looked at his season last year, he scored a lot of goals. I just think, we've lost Cameron Jerome now, so that's a body less. We know that Cauley Woodrow and Elijah Adebayo have struggled with injuries a little bit. Obviously, Carlton Morris has been out with an injury, so I do think if you take, listen, we've taken Cameron Jerome out of it, and I think Cameron Jerome is a very similar player to Carlton Morris in terms of his back to play, his hold up play, his ability to link in. He can run in behind if needs be, but he's probably more of an all rounder. I think if you were to take Harry Cornick out of those front options, I think he's the one who's different to the rest, who's really different to the rest. I think all the rest can operate with their back to goal. Yeah, Adebayo can run in behind, Morris can run in behind, but nobody to the real extent or with the real raw pace and directness that Harry Cornick's got. So I do get the argument that he's only got 2 goals this season, one in the FA Cup and the other one against Wigan, obviously. But I just think he offers a real different threat, and I think he offers something that defences worry about. And I don't probably see us at this stage, if he was to go in the next 24 hours, have we really got someone lined up who's going to come in and we know for sure is going to hit the ground running to give us what Harry Cornick gives us? Because he does, as I say, he does disrupt. He does, I've seen the two games up at Wigan with my own eyes, and him and Elijah, worked really well together when he came on in the first game and then in the second game, and he really does offer that ability to stretch teams and allow the space then in the sort of 10 position or as a second striker for Woodrow or for Morris or Adebayo to do their magic and work with their back to goals. So I do think out of all of them, he is very, very different. And I do think at this late stage in the window, unless they've got somebody lined up, which I don't think they will have, because I think probably Cornick may have gone by now, then I think Edwards will be doing everything he can. Listen, I don't know him, but I believe he's a real good character as well. He's obviously been at the club a long time. He's had a huge impact on our rise through the leagues. As I say, I understand that he's frustrating at times and he can be inconsistent. But I just think what he brings and that energy and honesty at the top end of the pitch will be difficult to replace at this late stage. We know his contract's up in the summer, so obviously Gary Sweet and the board may be looking and saying, well, if we can get best part of 100 grand or something like that, obviously saving his wages as well, possibly it might be something they look at. But I think when you weigh everything up and where we are in the league, maybe if we were lower down mid-table and maybe there was no chance of playoffs and things like that, it would be something that I'd be keen to maybe for the club to look at a bit closer. But I just think at this point, for me, I think we should be doing what we can to hold on to Harry Cornick.
Yeah, as you say, it's a difficult one as well, because if in a situation where we were to sanction his departure, looking at the market as it is, it's going to be expensive to replace him, somebody that could have that immediate impact. Or if you went down the Premier League loan market, which I know we still don't really know if that's an option. Not too many teams will let their sort of young talent go out to a club that know Luton have Elijah Adebayo and Colton Morris as their sort of starting strikers. They're not going to sanction the departure to a club where they're not going to get too much game time. I think that's something else that makes it difficult to see Cornick departing, difficult to see sort of Luton board allowing his departure unless stupid money was thrown at them. But I guess looking at his contract situation, that's not really going to happen. Another couple of headlines before we move on is that Jack Walton has now completed his move to Luton Town, permanently signing. Barnsley's number 2 for a long time, but has also impressed on the first team stage across the Championship and League One during his Tykes career. Going the other way, Harry Eisted is joined Barnsley on loan, which is sort of an interesting situation. Reshape of the goalkeeper department. Having somebody on a permanent contract beyond this season is perhaps the thinking behind it all. And then the last one, which woke up this morning, and it was very, very strange to see a Luton Town youngster linked with a Serie A move. Ed McJanet linked with Sassuolo. Of course, Ed McJanet's he's progressed very, very well through the Luton Academy. And somebody that's very highly rated by sort of Luton officials. But yeah, he is on the radar of Sassuolo, who I think I've seen comments on social media direct towards them being a similar club to Luton in that they sort of recruit well, don't really have the budget to compete with the likes of who were in their division, but ultimately recruit well and have a good club ethos. So that's another one to keep an eye out on. A very, very strange one. But we'll go on now, Andy. We'll speak about Cody Drameh. You've prepared a fair bit of analysis on him today. I think before we get into it, I think the overarching point of this is that he is a completely different option to James Bree. I think that's probably fair to say.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's when I was working through his clips and looking at everything, he's a very, very good athlete, like an outstanding athlete. Now, that's not to take anything away from James Bree. James Bree doesn't get a move to the Premier League. He's not a good athlete. Whereas every Premier League player nowadays, there's no Matt Letizier's or Jan Mulbys or Neil Ruddocks. Everyone is an athlete. So that's not saying James Bree isn't, but he's a real front-footed, dynamic, athletic, powerful, very attacking-minded fullback who, like many fullbacks and wing backs nowadays, rely on their pace defensively to get them out of a little bit of trouble, because they start so high up, and they're in transition, they're trying to get as high up the pitch as they possibly can to help the front players. So yeah, he's a very forward-thinking player, but for me, I think he will perhaps give us a bit more in terms of open play and in terms of certainly getting up the pitch and getting higher. He likes to, we'll go through some clips now, he likes to get in behind defences and get them on the back foot and defenders facing their own goals. So I'm excited by it. I mean, I'm going to start with a clip now, which is rare in these clips. It's a recovery tackle. Obviously for Cardiff, I think this is at Derby. Look at the distance between him and the attacker. It's a good, probably best part of 10 yards. He gets back. He actually gets round the back of him and the side of him, and then puts the tackle in. And I think that, just to kick off, just gives us a great show of how quick he is, because he's not just the technical term there, and what you'd say is get back or get back. Sprint towards goal. Get back towards your goal as quick as possible. He's actually taken the long way round, gone the wrong way round of him, and made a real good tackle that's won and kept possession. So I think, from a physical point of view, obviously that clip shows that he's quick, he's powerful, he's strong, and defensively that gets you out of so much trouble. And he gets goal side, makes a real good tackle, and wins the ball back for his team. Now the next couple of clips. Now the first one, you'd say the environment is obviously a 23s game, but it just shows his quality. I mean, that's top drawer. That's composed. That's relaxed. That's keeping possession under pressure. Yes, it's a 23 game, so there's not 15,000 people at QPR on his back, right on top of him, screaming at him, and he might not do that. But I think that shows real composure, real quality. Same as this one. Again, it's a 23s game, so he's a little bit more relaxed. But you look at that and you say 9 times out of 10 you're playing back to the goalkeeper. This lad, little Cruyff, gets away, then shows his power. Okay, I think maybe people in the Oak Road end might be biting the nails a little bit as he's doing that, or in the Luton side of the Oak Road might be biting the nails a bit as he's doing that. And I'm not sure Rob Edwards would be too happy with him doing that. But those two clips and the first clip, they just they show he's got the basics and he's got composure. He's comfortable in possession. He's good on the ball. But going through the clips and doing some work on him and looking what he is as a player, for me, it's his directness. It's his directness. It's his power. It's his strength. And it's athleticism, which is the brilliant thing. Here you can see he likes to be as high as possible. Great first touch. He's found himself high up the pitch. He's found himself in space, his touch. And then this is a big thing. All these clips, he gets so high so quickly. He actually gets into the penalty box here. Teams are so scared of his pace. He drives in, and now he's into shoot. He's into cross. He's in a real good position. And that is just raw pace, power, strength. If I show you again, being able to find that position straight away. And then it's just the positivity of that first touch. The positivity of that first touch puts teams on the back foot. It disrupts. It gets you up the pitch. And then he's not going down the line. He's not getting his head up. He's thinking, right, how quickly can I get to the opposition goal? Drives in, and then decent bit of defending, but wins a corner for his team. And I think that's going to be a theme of what we're going to see of him in a Luton Town shirt, is that directness and that pace and that power. Again, high and wide. Again, when you look at it here, he's got no right here to get into the penalty box or get anywhere near the penalty box. He's got 3 defenders in a good area. He's got runners in advance, and then it's that power. It's that power. He gets edge of the penalty box, and then it's just a slight little deflection onto the defender. But again, he wins a corner for his team. And for me, looking at it, that power, that first touch, two things from those clips. It's that first touch and that positivity which takes him forward and gets him on the front foot. But also, and this is what's going to be hugely important from a Luton point of view, and I think this is where we're good and where it will help, the runners from midfield. Because we've got Campbell and because we've got Clark, who can make those runs forward, who can get in advance, Woodrow, who likes to be forward, we can create those opportunities. I clicked on the wrong clip there, sorry. But if you see it again, it's these runs from deep. That run there allows him that space to drive in from the midfielder there. It allows him the space. And when we've got that, which we will in Clark and Campbell and Pelly from midfield, again, there's another run beyond the back of the defender there. That will create the opportunities for Luton, I think. And what we'll see is a slight difference because, in fairness to James Bree, he looked up, he got it, and he got his head up and looked across. He wanted to get his crosses in early. Whereas I think Drameh will push, will drive, will try and get on, and will try and create things himself. Again, here, you look how on the front, straight away, as soon as that comes out his side, he's thinking, how he's in his own half there. He ends up in the penalty area. And this is a real sort of advocate of what he's about. Driving. Again, gets into the penalty box. Again, commits defenders. Again, there's a runner in behind him, which he might have slid in another day. But that from the clips we've just seen and what I've just showed, he's all about pace and power and getting himself forward and driving himself forward. And I think that's a real theme of his play.
Definitely. And just looking at what he is, what the kind of profile he is compared to James Bree. You mentioned it there. James Bree was perhaps a little bit more reserved in his attacking play, creative as anything, but his starting position was a little bit deeper. His first thought wasn't to sort of make up that ground. It was what could he do on the diagonal? I think that's the sort of first notion that we can understand as Luton fans, that that when we do get to see him play, he is going to drive at defenders. He's going to cause havoc in a different kind of way than James Bree did. Doesn't mean necessarily that one's more creative than the other. Doesn't necessarily mean one will create more chances than the other. It's more the fact that he just brings out something completely different. And when we look at Forest Green last year, he does look someone that Rob Edwards will really like. You think of the wing backs he had Nicky Cadden and Kane Wilson, that were very much about sort of their athleticism, getting up and down the pitch and making up that ground. And I think that's something that he will find in Drameh. I think he's somebody that, out of the options we could have gone for in this transfer window, he's got to be up there as one of the most exciting ones. And there's now reports suggesting that there could be an opportunity to try and make a deal permanent should everything go okay. I think that's a very, very exciting prospect. And starting against Cardiff tomorrow, he could have an opportunity to really go in and sort of show people what he can do, and try and nail down that starting team spot at right wing back.
Yeah, 100%. And you're right. He certainly fits the mold of a Rob Edwards full wing back. And again, just continuing on with the clips. Again, they're all similar theme, but it's about that first thought, going for 1v1 with the defender. How can I get in behind? How can I affect? There's no, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to be safe. I'm driving on. And this is a position we see so much from him. From the clips I've seen, is getting in behind. And these are the positions that defenders do not want to be in. They don't want to be defending crosses, running towards their own goal. And he gets in, and I'm going to show you 3 assists here, and they're all so similar. This one is a little bit of a short one in terms of the distance to the goal, but it shows you in the penalty box again, 1v1, wants to get behind every time, drives on, and again, just that little half yard, shifts it, and defenders are facing their own goal. Gets it into a decent area, and it's a little tap in for the centre forward. But again, it's got defenders running towards their own goal. This one, the build up to this, he nicks it, he drives forward, fantastic athleticism. Again, waiting for that run from the striker. Again, that'll be important for the likes of Morris and Adebayo, getting across the centre back. But again, it's a cross into the 6-yard box for a tap in for the centre forward. And the last assist on this, again, 1v1 the defender. Again, there's 6 players there. He's got 7 players. I haven't even seen the back one. 7 players there. He's got to create an opportunity. You're thinking now, how can he create an opportunity? How can he get in behind there? just pure pace, pure power, driving on half a yard, defenders going back towards their own goal again. And then it's all about, have you got the quality to get it in? It's a magnificent cross. He's got absolutely no right. It's probably the only place he could possibly put it into. And it's a great finish. And again, just to finish on in terms of clips for him, this is just absolutely sums him up in terms of going for goal. Again, front foot, looking to drive forward, looking to go forward, tells him where he wants it. Then has he got the quality to chop him back into that area? He shouldn't really, because the defender's got it on good cover. Little bit of luck and the composure just to finish with the outside of his foot and slide it home. And I think he looks a real exciting talent. I think he looks like a real definite Rob Edwards type of player who is gonna give us something, as you've mentioned, something really different in terms of what James Bree got us. But I think it will gave us. I think it will be exciting. Listen, he's not played a huge amount of games in the Championship, so he's still, I'm sure there'll still be times where there might be a little bit of naivety. But he's got in my opinion, he's got the tools and the equipment he needs to be a very, very good Championship fullback. And then, with the experience we've had and the what we've had in terms of fullbacks in the past that have gone on and played in the Premier League, in terms of Justin and Stacey and now James Bree, who knows what the future holds for him.
It's exciting as well, because you can see a fair few parallels to Alfie Doherty on the other side. That you imagine Alfie Doherty, in my head, Alfie Doherty will cement himself as a starting left wing back as the season goes on, and having those two running at your defence is going to won't be an easy afternoon for anybody. But yeah, it's definitely very exciting to see. And you speak there about how direct he is. You speak there about the end product as well. A lot of those times he's either won corners or grabbed assists. He's somebody that will get us into good positions, and even when we come up against opposition that perhaps will restrict us in an attacking sense, he's got that sort of burst of energy to get us up the pitch and perhaps relieve pressure instead of trying to get the ball up to Adebayo or Morris. He's that sort of outlet that will get us up the pitch, and I think that's exciting to see as well. Definitely be good to see. Hopefully, starting with Cardiff, his old employers, that'll be a real good test for him. Just going to look here at a couple of graphs, percentile rank graphs that just show James Bree. This was James Bree during the 21-22 season, and sort of the darker shade of green shows if they're particularly good when compared to right backs and left backs from the Championship. And standing out there is the accuracy of his crosses, progressive passes per 90, crosses per 90, all at a very high level, but everything else doesn't seem to be too high. And just again showing that, I guess, contrast between what we expect from Cody Drameh compared to Bree. It's completely different when you look at Drameh. Defensive duels per 90, very high level. His progressive runs and his dribbles per 90 also very, very high. Success rate of his dribbling as well. Successful defensive actions. So I think that again goes to point at that sort of earlier point that he is that completely different to James Bree. And whilst James Bree, I think, was adapting to Edwards' style, I think we've seen games against Huddersfield more recently where he had a higher starting position, and that made him cover a little bit more ground and got us up the pitch. I think it's going to come a lot more natural to Drameh. I think that's something that is exciting to see, because it will be Rob Edwards having a wing back that fits the way he wants to play, and I think that's the most exciting thing about it all.
Yeah, fully agree. I agree on the point on Doherty as well. I think he'll end the season as having been our first choice left wing back, because I think his performances have justified him being in the team and staying in the team. Listen, I've nothing against Amari Bell. I think he's done fine, but I think the type of wing back that Edwards has historically played and likes are more of those real attacking, probably wingers. They're probably wingers who have turned into fullbacks and have got that pace. But yeah, listen, those graphs tell a story, a real story. I think I wasn't a runner. I didn't have pace. My first thought was probably along the same lines of James Bree as, I'm going to have a touch now, get my head up and see where I can pass the ball. I think that's probably James Bree's first thought. I think Drameh looks at it and says, right, I need to get my first touch out my feet and drive it at fullback and drive it at, my marker. And I think that's the difference. And I think that is exciting for us as fans, because I think he's somebody who's going to get you on the edge of the seat. James Bree probably got you on the edge of the seat more from set pieces. And I think that is somewhere we will genuinely miss James Bree. I've mentioned it previously. I think that's gone up a level in the last maybe 2 or 3 months from James Bree, the quality of his deliveries into the box. We know there's a slight issue in terms of the consistency, but for the last few weeks at least, certainly, the Wigan games and the games we won over Christmas, the quality of the balls into the box were first class. And I think that will be a miss. We have got players who can do it, but not probably to that standard. So listen, like we've said all along, they are different players, but I think probably if you sat down and asked Rob Edwards before any of this, what his wing backs look like, you're probably coming up with much more of a Drameh than a Bree. So we don't want to put too much pressure on him. I think it's brilliant, and I think it just sums us up that we've been able to replace a player who's gone to the Premier League with somebody who a lot of us are thinking potentially might be an upgrade. Time will tell. And listen, James Bree's been fantastic for us, so we're not. And I don't think any of us are downplaying how important he's been over the last couple of seasons, because he has been, he's been so robust in terms of the amount of games he's churned out. He's been fantastic in terms of slotting in at right wing back, at right centre back, and on more than one occasion he's been magnificent for us, and he's created a lot of goals, and he's scored some wonderful goals that we'll remember for a long, long time. So certainly not discrediting what James Bree has brought to the football club, but I think we're a football club who have learned to recover quickly from losing our better players, and I think from this point of view and where we are now, we've replaced him with a really exciting talent, someone who's young, someone who will have the opportunity, I think, to have a platform to go and build on the loan that he had at Cardiff last season, and come into our team and try and affect a team in a really good place, a football club in a really good place. And as you mentioned, the trouble is, if he comes and does well, there's less chance of probably Leeds wanting to get rid of him. So it's a probably double-edged sword. So, but listen, he's got a real good opportunity to come and play some games and be part of something that's in a really good place at the minute. So it's an exciting time, and hopefully he can start well and hit the ground running against Cardiff tomorrow night, if indeed Edwards gives him his debut.
Yeah, sort of that notion that we want him to do well, but not too well. We want him to be a steady performer for us, not impress the lead scouts who undoubtedly be coming to watch him each week. Don't want them to be too impressed. We want to keep him beyond this loan, I'm sure. But that is today. Big thank you to you, Burge, for coming on, and thanks for everybody else for watching and listening. As we say, we're recording this on the 30th, so it's deadline day tomorrow for us. It'll be coming out tomorrow for us. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how deadline day plays out from a Luton Town perspective. Be sure to subscribe to our new YouTube channel, which is Oak Road Hatter. Our Twitter is @OakRoadHatter, and our Instagram is Oak Road Hatter Pod. Website is www.oakroadhatter.com. But until next time, it is goodbye from us.